So back in August, I was speaking at the IAAP conference in Zurich, and one of the subjects that came up was traumatic nightmares. And since I've had a lot of requests to cover this, here we are. And if you're new to the Imaginarium, I'm Eric Goodwin, psychiatrist with 20 years of experience, a published Jungian scholar, and also a fantasy author. But you can find the link to my debut dark fantasy, King of the Forgotten Darkness, first in the Raven's Tale series, on my profile. So trauma dreams. Trauma dreams follow a typical pattern, and I'm going to give you an example of a war trauma dreams that I saw back when I served as an Air Force psychiatrist. But all kinds of trauma actually follow this pattern. First, you'll have a point-for-point repeat of the dream. This is because dreaming is a kind of spontaneous thought, and if you've watched my other videos, you'll know that the function of spontaneous thought in general, and dreaming especially, is to make sense of our lives by constructing symbolic narratives, aiming towards memory consolidation, identity formation, future planning, and especially for our purposes here, emotional regulation. Emotional regulation is super important here because our brains already know that while we need fight, flight, freeze, and paralyze responses for defense, those are extremely ancient defenses, it needs to figure out when they should stop because they are very costly. But right after a trauma, say of being bombed in Iraq or of SA, it will be a repeat of the event because the brain is stuck in the event and almost overloaded with it. When it gets truly overloaded, you can get severe dissociation and even split personalities. Let me know if you want to hear about that in the comments. But after a while, the brain starts to get a handle on things, and instead of verbatim repeats, you get attacks in different settings. You'll get bombed in Walmart or high school instead of Iraq. Then after that, it goes forward towards from being attacked now to being attacked in the near future. And so you spend the dream preparing for an imminent attack. Then after that, the attack downgrades from a physical to social. People will be yelling at you and calling you names instead of trying to kill you, or worse. Finally, when the trauma is successfully integrated with therapy, hypnosis, or any other ways in which we can heal, it will disappear into the background, and it'll be brought up occasionally when things trigger you a little bit, but then it'll fade relatively quickly back into the background. Paying attention to dreams, then, is how you can not only tell how you're doing, but in therapy, you can actually use the images to help you move forward. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. Now, and this is because consciousness can actually catalyze this natural healing process that I'm describing if you're just not wrapped up in ego defenses, which sometimes happens. The biggest way this is accomplished is by storytelling, in particular fantasy storytelling, since it is unlimited in the symbolism that the brain is using. That's one big reason why I love reading and writing fantasy, because of its power to heal. Now, one last thing. This process is sometimes nonlinear. You can be integrated, but with enough current stress, you can temporarily be thrust back into verbatim repeats. So if that's you, make sure you get the appropriate help. Now, let me know in the comments if this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.